Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and thank you for tuning into Penguin Live TV. My name is Stephen. I'm going to be your host this evening, showing you the penguins, making sure you get a good view of what's happening tonight. And joining me, I have producer T.
Welcome, everybody. Hope you have a fabulous night and wish Stephen a very happy birthday as well. Thank you.
All right, thanks, T. Now, T is going to be looking at your questions, answering them on YouTube or Facebook, whichever platform you're watching us from. She's also going to be keeping an eye out on interesting things. She might be in contact with Ebony, who is counting our penguins tonight, and she is joined by Linda. We have two penguin counters who come here every single night, even when we are closed to the public, because we love to count our penguins. It helps our researchers get a good gauge on what the numbers are like night after night. Now, the rangers down on the beach are about to turn the lights on the stands just to make sure that we have a good view of the penguins tonight. Now, there we go. They're just starting to turn those floodlights on. That'll help light everything up for our eyes to see. Now, these lights, don't worry, are visible to our eyes, but they're almost invisible to our penguins' eyes, because if you look at them, they're very yellow, almost orange in color, and penguins don't see that color spectrum. So the penguins think that they're walking up tonight in the dark, but luckily for us, our eyes can see the colors yellow, orange, and red, and we will be able to get a better view of these penguins. I do want to take this moment before we go any farther to acknowledge the land that we are on right now and acknowledge the traditional custodians of this land, the Bunurong of the Kulin Nation, and pay my respects to their elders, both past, present, and emerging. And I'd also like to take this time to acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land where you may be viewing from as well, wherever that may be in the world. And please, feel free to leave some comments letting us know where you are watching from, because it's amazing how far this is spread throughout the world. I believe we've hit in one night over 30 countries. We're tuning in to watch the penguins coming home. So let us know where you're watching from. Let us know what you're up to this evening. And we will try to answer your questions throughout the night. It's a little bit tricky because there are so many comments and questions happening. If we don't get to them tonight, we will get to them hopefully in the next 24 hours in a written response. And if we don't feel too bad. Just tune in tomorrow. We'll be doing this going forward. So there's going to be night after night of live streaming, and there'll be other presenters joining us tomorrow night. I believe we have Jordan and maybe Heather or Michael tomorrow night. It's going to be fantastic. It's going to be their first night. I know they're a little bit nervous, so I hope you guys can tune in and give them your best wishes for their first night. Now, I'm just scanning along the shoreline right here, just trying to see if there's any early birds tonight. Last night, our first penguins crossed the beach at about 6:36, which was a very late arrival. But tonight, if you're living in Melbourne or near the Melbourne area, you know that the storms are kind of blowing through right now. It's a little bit windy, it's a little bit cloudy, and those dark clouds may encourage our penguins to come home earlier tonight. But there's no guarantee of when the penguins are going to cross the beach. They will come when they are ready, and they haven't told us what time they want to come home yet. Okay, we're keeping an eye out on the ocean for a group of penguins on the water, which is what we would call a raft of penguins. Now, a raft of penguins is when a lot of penguins group up together and they form this almost raft-like appearance on the water. They sit very low in the water, our penguins, so it's a bit tricky to spot them, but you might be able to see little black dots above the water's edge, which would be their heads looking around, trying to see if there's any predators around, trying to see if they're around their fellow penguins. Now, our penguins, they gather into these rafts by making a hucking noise. It's a very short, sharp sound. It sounds a bit like huck, 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 huck. And penguins, they use that sound as a locator call. In English, that would basically translate to, here I am, guys, come to me, let's go together. And they'll be hucking their little hearts out, getting ready to cross this beach with the safety of numbers. So we'll just keep scanning around. I haven't seen any penguins yet, but let us know in the comments if you do spot the penguins. You might have better eyes than I do. Now, where we are right now is Phillip Island, and we're on the Summerland Peninsula of Phillip Island. And the Penguin Parade is owned by, as part of the Phillip Island Nature Parks, which is a not-for-profit conservation organization. Now, our primary focus is conservation and helping protect the wildlife and the environment for our native species. And the penguins are part of that. The penguins have been living on Phillip Island for thousands of years. I couldn't tell you exactly how long, but a very long time. And this is their natural home. And what we do here is we help protect the land which they call home. We keep it free from as many invasive species as we can, like foxes or feral cats. We also make sure humans don't impact their environment too much. We close down the Summerland Peninsula at night, making sure nobody's in the penguin colony tromping through the brush, maybe accidentally squashing penguin burrows. So we do a lot of work. Ooh, what's that? Is that a group of penguins on the water's edge? Let me zoom in. I think that's a group of penguins. There we go. That's our first group of penguins right on the water's edge. What good timing is that? They're nice and early. These penguins are almost 20 minutes earlier than last night. Lovely. Nice small group to start the night. All right. I'm sorry. I'm just listening to Ebs over the radio. Sorry, Ebony over the radio. She's just letting us know that the penguins started crossing this beach at about 6:16, which is wonderful. She's going to be counting these penguins for 50 minutes tonight. And we count our penguins for 50 minutes every night to get a good gauge on how many penguins cross the beach. We've been doing this penguin count since 1968. This is the largest data set of penguins anywhere in the world, and it's really useful for our researchers to get the trends over time to see how our penguin numbers are changing over time. Now, the penguins that we're going to see crossing the beach tonight might be different than the penguins we had last night. And the reason for that is because our penguins, they can sleep on the ocean. So they don't have to come home every night to go to sleep. They might spend days, weeks, even a month on the ocean at a time before they come home. And so we never know exactly how many penguins are coming home each and every night. Oh, got a little purple swamp pen in the bottom left corner there, just going off screen. Let's keep these penguins in focus. They're the stars of the show tonight. You can see them hunkered over the rocks. They don't want to fall too much. They keep a low center of gravity. Let's see if I can get them in this little pool they love to paddle through. Oh, this one wants to swim, but it's a bit too shallow. Now, we call this our ephemeral pool because it's a very temporary pool. If it doesn't rain, it disappears really quickly. And if you've been tuning in throughout this week, you would have seen penguins swimming through this pool. And as you can watch, this little guy can't actually make it into the swimming. He's got to waddle through it. It's just too shallow. Let's follow this little guy, see where he's going. Now, these guys are going on a journey home. I might not be able to follow this one all the way to their burrow. I don't know if it's a boy or a girl, sorry. My camera's not good enough to see that distinction. The only way to tell the boys from the girls is by their beak. The males have a slightly larger beak, a more pronounced hook on the top bill, and we got a nice little group crossing through there. I might miss them with this camera, sorry. No, I won't be able to get them. I was trying to get that camera in the top right corner there, but they were just too quick for me. Let's watch this lovely group up here, wandering up the penguin pathway. Don't worry, we're going to have lots of chances to view our penguins tonight. Now, there's this lovely little pathway that our penguins like to use. It goes all the way to the top of the hill. It's quite a large climb. I don't think our camera can actually make it all the way to the top, but we'll follow these guys for as long as we can. You can see them climbing up the hill, staying together as a group, keeping that safety in numbers. Ooh, they've just ducked behind the grass right there. Don't worry, they will pop out very soon. There's a cute little penguin in the top right as well. Oh, lovely. It's so fun watching these guys going home every night. Lots of different behaviors that you get to see. So they are on a journey home. Our penguins always go back to the same burrows. The male penguin is the one who owns the burrow. He's the one who builds it. He's the one who moves into the burrow if it's already been built. He's the one who fights to defend the burrow. And as we are entering the breeding season, The males are trying to attract a female partner as they want to start a family. Our penguins don't usually mate for life. They may stay together for a few years at a time, but eventually they will find a new partner. Almost always they find a new partner, but there are exceptions to that rule, of course. So they're trying to attract a female into their burrow, trying to show them that they have a very nice home, that would be great to raise a family. And they're trying to make sure that they show those females that they are a big, healthy penguin, because nothing says I am an attractive penguin than being a large penguin with a lot of weight. All right, I can't move the camera any farther up the hill, so we'll just see if these guys go any farther, but it looks like they might be going just a little bit out of our view. Ooh. There's a little wallaby just up there. Let's see if I can get him into the shot. Oh, no, I won't be able to get him too clearly. There's a wallaby at the top of the screen, very hard to focus on. Sorry, ladies and gentlemen, I won't be able to get them into view. Don't worry, the wallaby is not a threat to our little penguins. They are herbivores. They're mostly interested in eating leaves and grass, but they do tend to spook our penguins from time to time because they are such a large creature. All right, so as you can see, as we're looking around, it's not completely dark just yet. There's quite a bit of light left. So we might have a few groups of penguins who are waiting in the ocean, thinking that the group we just had was a little bit early tonight. Now, penguins usually only come out after sunset because in the daytime there are predators who eat penguins, and it's safest to come out under the cover of darkness when all of their predators go home to sleep for the night. All right, let's go zoom around on the beach and we'll see if we can spot any more penguins coming up in other locations. Now, as we're waiting, I do want to draw your attention to a link just below the stream that links you to our Penguin Foundation. That is our charity organization. If you wanted to adopt one of our little penguins, you can click that link below. It'll give you information on adopting a little penguin. It doesn't mean adopting is in taking them home and keeping them as a pet. You do not want to keep one of our penguins as a pet. I know they look cute and cuddly, but if you've ever tried to actually touch a penguin, you know that they have a very sharp beak that they like to bite you with. They are carnivores, so they do draw blood when they bite you, and they are quite messy birds. And they are also incredibly smelly. They do not make ideal pets. We got a little bit of rain on the camera here. Apologies for that. We don't have any windscreen wipers for our cameras, so we'll just have to deal with the rain tonight. Hopefully it won't get too heavy. Hopefully we'll have at least somewhat clear view of our penguins. Oh, this is fantastic. Just waiting for the next group of penguins to be coming home. Now, we never know exactly how many penguins are coming home, which is why we have our penguin counters here tonight. Last night we had, I think it was 632 penguins that came home last night.
It was 524 penguins, Stephen.
Was it 524? Oh, well, I'm completely wrong then. Thanks, T. So we did have that many penguins coming home, 524. And tonight, we don't know how many will come home. There's a nice big group right here, though. Maybe put in the comments how many penguins you think are in this group right here. Now, I am trained to be a penguin counter as well. Some nights I am out here in the elements trying to count all these penguins, and I am glad I'm not doing it tonight because it is a little bit rainy, and that is quite a large group of penguins. So try and count that furiously and quickly, as quick as you can, because by the time they hit these rocks, our poor penguin counter won't be able to see them anymore. So you've got to be a very fast counter to be able to count our penguins. Yeah, definitely leave a comment how many penguins you think are in that one group there. And yeah, we'll give you a like if you get the number right.
So Stephen, I've had a few people asking, what time do they go out to sea early in the morning?
Oh, that's a great question. What time do our penguins go out into the sea in the morning? Well, it is always in the early morning, and it is always just before sunrise, maybe about an hour before sunrise. So our penguins, they'd be getting into the water about 5:45 in the morning this time of year. But in summertime, when the sun is rising earlier and earlier in the day, they'll be going into the ocean even earlier. which is pretty special. Now we got a large group that's just waddling around here. They're coming home for the night. Penguins will never travel on land in the daytime unless they are fearless and unless they want to be taken by a predator. It's an unwise move to be waddling on land in the daytime. All right, so we got a few penguins that are continuing their journey home. We got another bunch of penguins who are more interested in just standing around. Let's see what kind of behaviors we see. Well, there's one penguin in the middle of the screen. He's reaching around with his beak behind him. He's getting his beak onto his oil gland that's located just above his tail. They spread the oil all over their feathers to help keep them waterproof out on the ocean. Oh, there he is, preening himself. They want to keep their penguin feathers nice and clean and meticulous for a couple of reasons. And the most important one for a penguin is so that they are waterproof, that when they are out on the ocean, the water never touches their skin because they create that little barrier for the water. And they have a nice bubble of air around their body, around their skin. And that bubble of air will keep them afloat on the water. We got a nice big group waddling past the screen here. We'll just get a nice close-up. You can watch these penguins waddling along. Lovely. Look at them go. Now, it's very fun to watch these penguins on their journey home. They are fantastic. Some of these guys might have to walk about 2 kilometers to get home each night. All right, let's go back to the beach. We will try and see if there's any more penguins. Oh, they're still there, which is great. Nice close-up view of these penguins, still preening themselves, making themselves beautiful. Lovely to see. How fantastic is that? That is a nice view of our penguins. You might see some social behaviors as well. Occasionally you'll see penguins preening another penguin. They are very social birds, but they're not necessarily preening their partners or their family or relatives. Penguins are social enough that they will preen each other even if they're complete strangers. We're just zooming around. Sorry about that. Must have hit a button by accident. There we go. Let's go back to these penguins here. I want to see if we can follow any of them on their journeys home. Now it's fun watching them stumbling over these rocks, falling over, tripping over their own feet. That's absolutely fantastic. Penguins are a bit clumsy on land, but that's okay. They are very good in the water. I love watching them jumping from rocks to rocks. Now these little penguins are called little penguins because they're the smallest penguins in the world. They're only about 33 centimeters tall. It's just over a foot in height, and they weigh about 1 kilogram in weight. Another perfect view of our penguins waddling past the screen here. That glass window that you can see to their left, that is part of our underground viewing. So if you come back here when we open up again, you might be able to grab tickets to that area, and the penguins will be walking very close to your face. So close that you could almost kiss them if there wasn't a bit of glass in front of you. And believe me, you do not want to kiss a penguin. They will bite you. They are not good kissers. Oh, fantastic. So we still have this lovely group here on the rocks here, still preening themselves. It's fantastic just to see this type of behavior. The penguins are really trying to make themselves beautiful for the breeding season. A scruffy penguin is not likely to have a partner throughout the breeding season because a scruffy penguin is not going to be effective on the water. So they have to make themselves beautiful if they want to attract a mate. Now the males, as I said, are going home tonight. Some of them are looking to find a partner for the breeding season. Others already have a partner and they're hoping they're going to find their sweetheart at home waiting for them. But our penguins, they both go out into the ocean, the males and the females. They're both in charge of feeding themselves and they're both in charge of raising their family or their offspring together.
Hi, David. Got another question. What's the biggest number of penguins that have come home one night?
Oh, that is an interesting question. Well, I can guarantee we're not going to hit that number tonight because the groups aren't quite that size. The largest number of penguins we ever had was 4,398. And I do remember that night. It happened a few years ago, and I was lucky enough to be working that night. And I could not believe the size of the groups and rafts of penguins that we saw coming home that night. It was a completely unbelievable experience. So usually we don't get those types of numbers coming home. Only during the peak breeding seasons would we ever come close to having a chance at hitting those numbers. And we are not at the peak breeding season yet. In fact, we usually don't expect the breeding season to start until a bit later. We've just had an early start to our breeding season this year, which is fantastic. There's a couple of reasons why that might be the case. There's a potential La Nina happening this year in the ocean, warms up the ocean currents around here, which makes it a bit more fertile for the fish out there and plants. So the penguins have more food earlier in the season. But we've got to love these really good years when the penguins start their breeding season early, as if we're lucky, we are going to have lots of babies on our cameras in the future. All right, we've got another lovely raft of penguins tonight. Sorry, not a raft. They're not a raft when they hit the land. It's a group of penguins. We like to call them a waddle of penguins when they hit the land. It's not their official group name. It's just a bit of a term that we like to use here, tongue in cheek. We do have apparently just 5 minutes to go. It's been rushing past tonight, our penguins. So if you have any of those questions you want to, please feel free to jump on comments, ask them. We'll try and get to them. And if we don't answer them, whether by typing tonight or if I get asked by T, we'll get to them hopefully in the near future. Well, there's a bit of rain coming in tonight. These penguins seem to be in a bit of a hurry to get home because even though they're waterproof, rain can be a bit of a distraction for them. You can see them shaking their heads, shaking their flippers, trying to dry themselves off a bit.
So with the waterproofing, Stephen, why do they need to be waterproof?
Why do penguins need to be waterproof? Well, that is a great question. Penguins need to be waterproof so that they can float on the ocean for one reason. Now, when penguins are out on the ocean, they're going to be swimming long distances. Our penguins might swim 50 kilometers in a single day. They are great long distance swimmers and they might be out there for days and weeks and even a month on end. And if our penguins are spending so long on the ocean, they do in fact need to go to sleep. And a penguin will not be able to go to sleep, a little penguin will not be able to go to sleep unless they're floating on the surface of water because penguins need to breathe air. So if they're buoyant and they float on top of the water, they don't have to use any energy to stay up there just to catch their breath. And being waterproof also helps to keep our penguins warm as they're on the ocean. Because the ocean around here, the Bass Strait just south of us, is a bit of a chilly body of water, usually hitting somewhere between 12-14 degrees Celsius. It's not overly warm, and our penguins don't want to suffer from heat loss. They don't want to get hypothermia while they're out on the ocean. So by having that waterproof coating of feathers around them, they keep that bubble of air around their bodies. It also helps to keep them warm. It's just fantastic to see our little penguins waddling their way home tonight. Ooh, we got another group in front of our second camera. I'll try and put that on the full screen. And just look at them waddling past on their journey home. I do want to remind you that when we do get to open up again, we would love to see folks visiting us, coming back to the Penguin Parade. I know we cannot wait to see you in person again. It's just so much fun sharing our passion of penguins with you, being able to show you this natural wonder in person. It's great being able to watch it in the comfort of your own home, especially on a night like tonight where it's cold, it's wet, and it's a bit windy as well. But let me tell you, it's not the same experience as seeing as in person. So when we do open up again, we do invite you back here so you can get a perfect view of our penguins. Oh, lovely, lovely guys, just preening their feathers, hopping over these rocks. While they do look a little bit like rock hoppers from time to time, that is a different species of penguin. They're not related to our penguins, even though they are good at hopping over the rocks. And I would like to remind you, ladies and gentlemen, just if you wanted to adopt a penguin, help our charity foundation, please hit that link below this stream. It'll take you to the Penguin Foundation page. It'll give you a lot of information about our penguins, but also on how to adopt a penguin and what it means to adopt a penguin. Some of that money goes towards research, some of it goes towards conservation, it goes towards our penguin hospital or our wildlife clinic, where we might have injured penguins or penguins, other animals that need a bit of care from us as well. Now these little penguins, they're just struggling through the grass here. Let's see if we can spot where they're going. Yeah, they're just wandering around these burrows here. I might zoom in on this burrow before we end for the night because we only have a couple of minutes to go. You can see these brown wooden boxes with the rocks on top of the roof. Those are penguin burrows. Penguins have moved into them. They're artificial burrows. And some of these penguins look like they might want to enter inside. So yeah, these penguins are going on their journey home tonight, and it's about time that we do the same thing. So we might leave you here watching these little penguins, wondering if they should enter this burrow. And we hope to see you again tomorrow because it's fantastic sharing this with you. So once again, my name's Stephen. We also have Ranger T who joined us tonight. Tomorrow we have a few different rangers, so please tune in again. Thanks for tuning in.
Thank you, Ranger Stephen.